Hello students, this is Hardik sir, and today we will be starting our third chapter from Social and Political Life Standard 7. The title of the lesson is The Delhi Sultans. As the word Sultans, we know that Sultans, they were the rulers of Delhi and they proclaimed themselves as Sultans. So this period actually ranges from 1206 CE to 1526 CE. But Delhi, when it became a capital of a kingdom under the Tomar Rajputs, as you can find with the first point itself. This is the introductory video. I hope you would have read the chapter already. And if you haven't read it yet, I request you to go through the chapter once and then just come back with the video. This part 1 will introduce you the entire chapter, and with upcoming parts, we will be completing the chapter. So the Tomar Rajputs, first we can come to know, Delhi became the capital of a kingdom under the Tomar Rajputs, but they were defeated in the middle of the 12th century by the Chauhans of Ajmer, as we have already seen these words in the previous lesson also. So Tomar Rajputs were defeated by Chauhans in the 12th century, in the middle of the 12th century. Under Tomars and Chauhans, Delhi was important commercial center, and coins were also minted there, and they were known as Delhiwal. So this place where the coins were minted were known as Delhiwal. Such words which are unfamiliar, we will be discussing the same also with the upcoming parts. The same picture and the map also you can find with your textbook also, where the lesson starts. This will be the map on the first page itself, and this is on the very next page. You will find about the different rulers. We are going to see about them also with the upcoming parts. So with the next part, we will find the information about finding about these rulers, about the histories, how they were recorded, who recorded them, such number of information which we are going to see in this particular part. So most of the information were from the histories. So whatever we have information about this medieval age, as you know that we are studying medieval age in standard 7. So with this medieval age, particularly the histories, the word you will find tawarik. So that is the plural form of tariq, that means history. And the authors are learned men. So the authors who had written them, they were very learned people, secretaries, administrators, poets, and even the courtiers. So these people have recorded some data, and from that data only we come to know about these sultans. So these authors lived in cities. They wrote sultans' history for rich rewards. So whatever is written, all the historians do not agree that they are all the authentic details, but majority of the things are always to the point, up to the mark, they are correct. They advised the rulers also. So they were so learned that they also advised the rulers. So who were these learned men? As you can come to know, they were secretaries, administrators, poets, or even the courtiers. They lived in cities. These authors lived in cities. They wrote about the histories of the rich for rich rewards, and also they advised the rulers. Razia Sultana, as you will come to know about her also, she was a daughter of Sultan Shamsuddin Iltutmish, and chronicler Minhaj-e-Siraj, one of the most famous chroniclers of Sultanate period, we can say. So chronicler Minhaj-e-Siraj recognized that she was more able and qualified than all her brothers, and that's why she became the ruler of Delhi. But the people were not comfortable with queen as rulers. As you know that male dominating society would not appreciate or would not accept woman ruler, and that's why she was removed from the throne in 1240 CE. Rudrama Devi, we have also two other examples. That is first Rudrama Devi, and second is Didda. So Rudrama Devi, she was from the Kakatiya dynasty of Warangal, and Didda, she was also a woman ruler of Kashmir. They are all the examples of woman rulers. Sultans seldomly controlled the hinterland. Now hinterland means that is the part of the city that supply goods. So they were seldomly controlled. They were not able to control hinterland of the cities, and they were dependent upon trade, tribute, and plunder for supplies. So these sultans were dependent on trade, tribute, and plunder for supplies. Controlling garrison towns. Garrison means fortified towns of Bengal and Sindh were also difficult from Delhi, because being very far from Delhi, they were not controlled easily. They were not to be controlled easily. And what happened then? State were threatened with Mongol invasions. So because they were not able to give them protection, they had continuous threat of Mongol invasion, and even internal rebellions like governor. Because of the weakness of the sultans, they started declaring themselves as the rulers. and its expansion, I want to say Delhi Sultanate expanded during the period of Ghiyasuddin Balbad and Alauddin Khilji, as you can find, and even Muhammad Taghlaq. So they are the names during which period? During their reign, the expansion of Delhi Sultanate was taken care of. So in this slide, what we have gone through, number of information that from where we find information about Delhi Sultans, that is from Tawarikh, that is history. The learned men wrote it. Why they wrote it? We know that for each rewards it has been written, where they lived in cities, and they also advised the rulers. Razia, we have a woman ruler. She was the daughter of Shamsuddin Iltutmish. He was a sultan from slave dynasty. And then we find the information about other two women rulers, as people were not comfortable with the queen as rulers, and that's why she was dethroned in the year 1240. So which we have find the details. So next part we will find expansion. So expansion from, as you can see, expansion occurred along the hinterland, which is internal frontier, and through the external frontier by both the means. Internally we have found about the governors who started rebelling, and military expeditions also started during the reign of Alauddin Khilji and Muhammad Taghlaq. Military expeditions, you can understand that by the attacking, by open war, ultimately the lands were kept in the control. We have also information about the mosque built, that is Qawatul Islam, you can find, and minaret mosque that was built during the last decade of the 12th century. So about the architectural information also we have some data, and that was, we have also one information that congregation mosque, that is Jama Masjid, was built by Delhi Sultans in Delhi Khuna. So in Delhi, Jama Masjid also was built during this particular period. The mosque was enlarged by Iltutmish, Shamsuddin Iltutmish, as I just told you the name, and even Alauddin Khilji. In a congregational mosque, you can find Jama Masjid. Muslims read their prayers. Imam, so the new word comes Imam. Imam was the chosen leader from Muslim community and also delivers. So Imam delivers the sermon, that is known as Khutbah, during Fridays. So on Fridays the sermon is delivered, that is some moral stories or something like that. Ultimately teachings and number of things were taught on Friday. During prayers, Muslims stand facing Makkah, that is known as Qibla or even Qibla. So in India, if we consider, then that part comes to the west. Next we will find, rather than appointing the aristocrats, so this is something about now the administration part we are going to see. So these all things you will find in the lesson. If you will just go through once, you will find that these are the only important points which we are discussing. This is just an introductory video. In the upcoming videos, we will be definitely discussing everything in much detailed part. So rather than appointing the aristocrats and landed chieftains as governors, Iltutmish appointed special slaves, and that's why we know that slave dynasty ultimately came into existence. So these slaves purchased for military service called Bandagan, they were known as Bandagan. This is also a new word that you can understand. Who were those Bandagan? So they were the special appointed slaves purchased for military services. So for military services, whoever the slaves were purchased were known as Bandagan, as they would totally depend upon their master, and their master would be only the king, only the ruler, the sultan. And this trend was followed by even Khiljis and Taghlaqs. Lands where the military commanders governed as governor are called Iqta. So the lands which were under the control of governor were called Iqta, and the holder of the land was known as Iqtadar or Mukti. So these are also the new words. Again, the definitions, you must recall this. If you feel like, then once again you just go through the video, or else find the difficult words from your textbook. You are also helped with the definitions or the meanings of these hard words in the textbook also. During Khilji time, there were three types of taxes. You can find there were three types of taxes. First was Kharaj. Kharaj was taken on cultivation, that was 50% of the peasant produce. So whatever the agricultural production was there, above that 50% tax was taken from them. Even two different taxes, like on cattle and houses also there were taxes. Mongols, if we talk about, then under Genghis Khan invaded Transoxiana in northeast Iran in 1219. So Transoxiana was invaded under Genghis Khan leadership in 1219. They attacked the sultans, particularly during the Alauddin and Muhammad Taghlaq period. So finding them weak, they started invading them. Alauddin constructed a garrison, as you can find, fortified town. So garrison he constructed called Siri for his soldiers and paid them in cash and he was very efficient in administration. So you can come to know Alauddin Khilji was very efficient. Muhammad Tughlaq relocated the people from Delhi Khuna to new capital Daulatabad. So this ruler particularly shifted his capital from Delhi to Daulatabad, and also he introduced a token currency which was known as Tanka currency by the time, and also brought some new administrative reforms which were totally a failure. So he was known as mixture of opposites. The extra information which is not in the book, we find with the last and the most important part, that is during the rule of Sayyid and Lodi dynasties, Jaunpur, Bengal, Malwa, Gujarat, Rajasthan and the entire South India now had independent rulers. So during the rule of Sayyid and Lodi dynasties, we find that there were a number of different states, different parts in India, that now they had their independent rulers, and it also led to the emergence of Rajputs and Afghans, and because of this only the new rulers, the new dynasties also came into power. Sher Shah Suri, as you can find the information, was manager of Bihar and he defeated the Humayun. That must not be. So he defeated Humayun, and his uncle, his Suri dynasty lasted for 15 years. During this time, his administration borrowed elements from Alauddin Khilji and also were followed by Akbar. So during his administration, from number of administrative reforms were borrowed from Alauddin Khilji. So number of rulers that actually Alauddin Khilji had introduced a number of reforms, and they were also borrowed by Sher Shah Suri and later on by Akbar also. Means they started working on the same rules and same regulations. So thank you for the day. Now please go through the textbook once again, go through the lesson carefully, and we are just going to start our next part very soon. Thank you.